Absolutely. All right, so you were asked to make a list, right? Humans must have their body temperature at a constant temperature, and I said list some ways that you'd help keep homeostasis or that constant temperature. Things should not ever be on top of a Chromebook, ever. So only 26 responses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4, 28. Plus 3 up here. That's 31 of you should be responding. Peardeck.com/join in. Type in your answer. I am about to find out who the non-participant is. Participate. Yeah. Participate. Oh, you're still typing? Just get it in there. Martinez. Bang, bang. That's an inappropriate song on the radio. Yes. Yes. Goosebumps, yep. Goosebumps, like when your erector pili muscle contracts and it gives you those little goose pimples. Yep. Well, that's what my grandma calls them. Shiver, yep. And when you shiver, that makes some friction, right? It makes some heat. Where were you? Were you here? Who was my passer? What did you do, miss him? Blood goes internally, yep, so that's why you get pale. There you go. Please don't amplify the 3D printer. We don't need to hear background noises. See if there's anything new. Your hair does grow more in the winter because of the erector pili contracting, relaxing, shivering. You're creating more movement in there, yeah. Oh, okay. We'll have to do that later. What? I know. I'll come get you in a minute. Use more energy, yep. Sweat, shake, shiver, okay. I don't know about that. So, folks, focus your attention now. Elbow your neighbor if they're talking. Yeah. So how does the cell membrane help the cell maintain homeostasis? We're going to look at that today. We'll look at how the cell membrane restricts the exchange of substances. And we'll look at some functions of the membrane and the proteins that are in them. So first, that big fun word, homeostasis. Homeo, the root homo, meaning the same, stasis, state or condition of. So all living things are going to respond to their environments, and these reactions help our body maintain homeostasis. So everything you respond to, the whole goal or idea is to maintain equilibrium in the body. Keep things constant. 98.6 degrees if we're talking about temperature. And we know that homeostasis is the maintenance of a stable internal condition in a changing environment, but individual cells as well as organisms must maintain homeostasis in order to live. And one way that a cell maintains homeostasis is by controlling the movement of substances across their membrane. All right? So what is the type of fat that the membrane is made of? What is the type of fat that the membrane is made of? That is an iPhone case. Yeah. We're practicing right now. Well, I got different color filament. I'm going to buy some glow-in-the-dark filament. That'll be fun. You got to change the rollout, but yeah. Every time you wanted to switch color, you'd have to. You can do it, though. A rainbow phone? You can do it. Be a lot of swapping out of spools, though. So I'm really having troubles with this, guys. Be wrong, but put an answer in. I never go check, but I will start checking if you guys don't participate. Trying to get rid of it. Yeah. I woke up with a sore throat around 3 in the morning. That's not good, is it? I think I'm getting sick. No, this is no, I wish. Lipids, but okay. Get focused. Pretend you're a Ford. Lipids. We got phospholipids is the best answer, right? I don't even know what JK is. But, oh, just kidding. Oh, gotcha. I'm not all hip into the acronyms. I don't understand your kids' little Django today. What's it called? Abbreviated text messages. You know what's fun? Once you're after 30, you can just pretend to be really old, even if you aren't that old. And you get away with it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to try anymore. It's kind of nice. I can just be old, right? No. Although my wife told me I need to update my wardrobe. She said, "You're pretty plain, Mr. Mason." She didn't call me Mr. Mason though. Do you want to build a? Do you want to build? That's a song from Frozen, isn't it? Oh, I know. I heard it all the way to Florida and back. I heard that. Oh. I got to go down? Hold on. Holy text messages. Chicken sauce and juice fries. Whatever. Okay. I ate at a chicken and waffle place. That was the weirdest combination I've ever ate together. Yeah. So cells are suspended in a fluidy environment. Even the cell membrane is fluid. So we think of it as this fatty layer, this bubble, but really it's just a liquidy, almost like an oily substance. It's made up of a sea of lipids in which proteins float. Now by allowing some materials but not others to enter the cell membrane acts as a gatekeeper in a way. You guys all did your cell projects, right, Mr. Windland? And you told me that the cell membrane is what controls what enters and leaves the cells. Maybe you used a bouncer as an example of the cell membrane, or maybe you used, what did you guys use for your metaphor? Todd, what did you use? You weren't paying attention, were you? This is okay. Zippity-doo-dah and focus. Come on now. All right. So the cell membrane also provides structural support to the cytoplasm, recognizes foreign material, and communicates with other cells, all of which contribute to maintaining homeostasis. So there's way more going on in that cell membrane than just controlling what enters and leaves. So the cell membrane we know is made of phospholipids. It's a phospholipid bilayer. Let's draw that real quick. You might want to. If I can draw in front of you, you can draw for yourself. So each phospholipid has a phosphate head, and then it has two fatty acid tails. We've done this before, right? Okay? And remember, it's a bilayer. Two fatty acid tails per phosphate group. Okay? And we know that the tails are what are called hydrophilic ends. They're the fatty ends. So they are phobic. Hydrophobic. Yep, they're water-fearing. And then the heads up here are hydrophilic. So there's water outside of the cell, and there's water inside of the cell, right? That makes sense. That's why the heads are attracted to water by a hydrogen bond. Remember the dotted line bond? Okay? So the hydrogens are actually attracted to the positive, the phosphate group is actually attracted to the hydrogen positive end because it has oxygen on it, which is negative. And that's why. But keep in mind that the reason a cell membrane is 2 layers is because the heads are attracted to water and there's water in and out of the cell. And I always say the hydrophobic tails hide. They tuck tail and run inside of the membrane. So that a phospholipid is a specialized lipid made up of phosphate heads and 2 fatty acid tails. The phosphate head is polar and is attracted to water. What was that word we gave it? We said it is hydrophilic. And then the fatty acid tails are hydrophobic, right? And they are repelled by water. They are the fat part of the phospholipid. Do oil and water mix? No. That's why the tails repel from water. So it looks very, I guess I didn't have to draw it. I forgot I had an image. But this is basically a phospholipid bilayer. We have our heads, which are attracted to water, both in and out, and then the fatty tails, the fatty acid tails, which hide in the middle of the membrane. Now, it would be great if that's all that we had to worry about with a cell membrane, but there's more to the cell membrane than just fats. So because there's water inside and out of the cell, the phospholipids form a double layer called the lipid bilayer, and the nonpolar tails repelled by water make up the interior of the lipid bilayer. The polar heads are attracted to the water, so they point toward the surface of the lipid layer. One layer points its heads facing the cytoplasm, and the other is in contact with the cell's immediate surroundings. We are made of over 70% water, right? So there's water in and out of our cells. Therefore, you need a bilayer to control water movement. Oh, I put it in there twice. So we know that fats are one of our large, or lipids are one of our large organic molecule categories. Can you guys name some of the other ones? Just pick one. There's 4 organic compounds or molecules we talk about, the molecules of life, right? One is fats or lipids. What are some of the other ones? Just list one. See if we can get them all here. Proteins for sure. Carbons are atoms. That's atom. Proteins, yep. What else? Carbohydrates. There's another one. I need one more. Yeah. Nope. Carbohydrates are sugars. So I have fats, carbohydrates, proteins, and how about nucleic acids? Right? Okay, DNA. Okay. So the one thing that cell membranes do not contain is nucleic acids. There's no DNA in the cell membrane. Okay. Our DNA is found inside of our, everybody say nucleus. Where do you find DNA? In the nucleus. You copy DNA onto? RNA wiggles through goes out into to find to make by assembling and forming. All right. Where do we make ribosomes at? In the nucleolus. Everybody say nucleolus. This is where we assemble ribosome parts. Then they wiggle through a nuclear, go out into and they assemble to make a ribosome. Okay. If that ribosome is attached, it is a bound ribosome. If you don't participate when we do that, I'll just keep doing it the whole hour. I've done it before. I had kids that just wouldn't do it one time. We just kept going. Took me about 8 times through before they all gave up and just did it. So only certain substances can pass through that lipid bilayer. The phospholipids form a barrier through which only small nonpolar substances can be passed. So you have to be small and not have a what? You have to be small and not have a what to get through the cell membrane. You have to be small and not have this. Be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. IDK is acceptable. I don't like it all the time, but it works. If you don't know, I know my Twitter language. IDK, right? I do know, right? I do know, but I'm not telling. That's IDKBINT. I haven't either. That's a new one. I don't know. I forget. No, I got to think about it again. Yeah. SU. What is it? I don't know.
Why does sometimes they go in the middle and sometimes they go to the side?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'd have to ask the programmer. So I'm looking for the short and sweet would be they cannot have a charge, right? No charge. So things that are small and don't have a charge can pass through. Makes sense. So ions have a charge, don't they? So an ion would be small enough. Let me give you an example of an ion. Smallest element on the periodic table with a charge. Could that just freely pass through the membrane? Everybody say no. No, it's small enough, but it has a charge, so it can't get through. Okay? How about this? That's pretty small. Can that get through? No? Okay, how about this? Yeah, it's small and it doesn't have a charge, right? It's oxygen. Okay. You guys get that. So I told you there's going to be two other things in that lipid bilayer. The one thing we won't have is going to be our nucleic acids. This is not the time to be checking ourselves out in our phone mirrors. Talking to your fairy godmother, making a wish, or whatever you're doing in there. What were you doing? Checking your hair? Plucking your eyebrows? What were we doing? All right. So various proteins can be found in the cell membrane. Some proteins face inside the cell and some face outside of the cell. Other proteins may stretch all the way across and go from one side of the cell to the other. So proteins are made of amino acids. You guys know that, right? We copy DNA onto RNA, wiggles through goes out into to make by assembling and forming. All right. So the attraction and repulsion of polar and nonpolar parts of the protein to help hold the protein in the membrane. So here's the thing. The membrane doesn't even have to be attracted to the lipid. It just has to be repelled by water so much that it gets shoved in against the side of the membrane by the water. Okay? So it'd be like, I don't want to hang out by that person, but there's like a big wolf chasing me, and I would still go hang out by them, right? I don't know if that's a good analogy, but I used it. What? Okay, you don't though. All right. How about this? There's like a wall, and if I get up on the wall, the wolves can't get me, right? So I jump up on the wall and I'm safe. I didn't necessarily want to hang out by everybody that's on the wall, but we're there together, and there's no way we're going to jump on either side of the wall because there's like wolves over here and tigers over here, right? Oh, that analogy got out of control. Yeah. It happened. All right, so there are 4 basic types of proteins, and we are going to talk about each one. The first one is a cell surface marker that identifies the cell type. The second type are called receptor proteins, and they're going to recognize and bind to substances outside of the cell. That's like the dish network box on your house, right? It's going to collect the signals. Okay? And then you have enzymes, and those basically help chemical reactions occur. You guys remember the enzyme substrate complex, where you break down a substrate, right? Okay. And then you have the transport proteins. Oh, they go all the way through. They must bring things in or out of the cell. Things that are too big or have a charge, right? Okay. So if I ask you the 2 limiting factors for something coming into or out of a cell, what are they? What are the 2 limiting factors of something entering or leaving the cell? What are the 2 deciding factors of whether or not you get into or out of a cell? It's kind of similar to this room in a way. I got a door. It only fits a certain size person through it. And if they're all charged up, I don't let them in. Right? Exactly, all charged up. Oh, I just put it now. I'm going to hear that again. Yeah, sore throat though. I'll try not to. I'm one of those people, I can keep something in my mouth for about, a minute, and then I end up biting it, you know. I'm that owl on the Blow Pop commercial or the Tootsie Roll commercial. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No. So how big it is, and if there's a charge, right? Good deal, size and charge. Perfect. No idea. Oh. That's NI, right? No. No. I just did. I 3D printed that text message, right? Verbally. Bigginess and powery thing. Okay. Biggie. Isn't that a rapper? Oh, it's Biggie Smalls. No? So proteins in a cell membrane include cell surface markers, receptor proteins, enzymes, and transport proteins. All extremely important things for a cell membrane. Remember, proteins are the things that do the jobs or the functions for our cells. So cell surface markers act like a name tag. There's a unique chain of sugars that act as a marker to identify each cell type, and they're attached to a protein. So I told you we're going to have everything except for DNA on the cell membrane. So this is what's called a glycoprotein. Now, why would I want a name tag? Here's why. So inside of your cell, there are killer T cells and there's beta cells. You're going to be a beta cell, Miss Martinez. And Reno looks like he likes to kill things. Okay? So you go hunting, right? Yeah, okay. So that's what I know. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. In this case, me. Okay? So let's say you ever go to a party and they give you a name tag? Hello, my name is, you know. Like when you show up to a party, that's the first thing. Give you a name tag with your name on it? No? What kind of parties you guys going to? You got to have a name tag. You got to meet new people, you know. I'm pretty old. We have lane parties. So I walk by and I'm missing my name tag, right? No name tag. And I'm in your body. I'm at your party. Guess what? I'm not supposed to be there. So you're gonna tag me when I walk. You know how you put a mark on, or like a kick me sign? Except it says kill me, and I move by, and then Reno's job, he's a killer T cell. I'm floating by. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. And then what does he read on my back? Kill me sign. And what do you do? Well, you engulf me whole, and then you have enzymes in you, and you digest me, and then you exocytose me out, and you do it again. So that's pretty harsh for not having your name. Don't come to one of my parties without a name tag. Be a bad deal. Okay, so you need a name tag. Protein's job. One of the protein's jobs as a cell surface marker along with that carbohydrate is so that your body knows what belongs there and what does not. Folks, if you had a bacteria in you, would you want her to tag me and him to kill me? Yeah. It's like, what's the hallway monitor's name? I recorded that. You said that out loud. I hear she puts them in her trunk and takes them home for dinner. Oh, no, I got me. I don't make eye contact. I just keep walking. So these sugars are attached to the cell surface by a protein. Remember, they're called glycoproteins, right? Glycoproteins. I'm a little scared of her, too. I don't make eye contact. I just keep walking. I didn't have my parking permit on my car, and she left me notes for like a week, and I was scared. I thought I was in trouble. All right. So the receptor proteins enable a cell to sense its surrounding by binding to certain substances outside of the cell. Okay, so there's these other proteins called receptors, and they receive signals. Makes sense. So when this happens, it causes changes inside of the cell. And many specialized proteins that are called enzymes in the cell membrane help with important biochemical reactions inside the cell. So let's jump back up to receptor proteins. Sometimes you get scared, right? Yeah. And your brain releases a chemical that tells your cells, hey, we're scared. But your cells won't know that unless they have a receptor for that signal. So on your adrenal glands, right on your kidneys, right next to your kidneys, well, attached to them kind of, you have these adrenal cells in your adrenal gland. What do they release? Adrenaline. But they don't know they're supposed to, so the brain sends a signal and says, hey, we're scared. There's a wolf chasing me. Right? I don't know why wolf is the wolf is my analogy animal today. I don't know. That's my spirit animal of the day. So many specialized proteins called enzymes in the cell membrane help with the important biochemical reactions. We have to break things down and we have to build things up, right? Makes sense. So many substances that the cell needs cannot pass through the lipid bilayer. Transport proteins aid in the movement of those substances into and out of the cell. So those proteins that go all the way across the cell membrane are going to help bring things in or help get rid of things. What kinds of things? Things that are too big or have a charge, right? Okay. So will you be expected to know all 4 types of surface proteins and what they do? Yes. So one way, remember, the cell maintains homeostasis is by controlling the movement of substances across that cell membrane. The lipid bilayer is selectively permeable to small nonpolar substances. Permeable means it can get through. Every time I come over there, Mr. Todd starts talking again to his neighbor. I know. Proteins in the cell membrane include cell surface markers, receptor proteins, enzymes, and transport proteins, all of which are extremely important for functioning as a cell membrane.